Battle of Moscow, 1941 to 1942, was a pivotal confrontation during World War II and marked a major turning point in the conflict between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. As part of Operation Barbarossa, Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union, the German army aimed to capture the Soviet capital of Moscow by late 1941, thereby crippling the Soviet leadership and securing vital resources. By early October 1941, German forces had reached the outskirts of Moscow, and the city was heavily threatened. However, the Germans had underestimated the Soviet Union's resilience and the logistical difficulties of advancing through the harsh Russian terrain. The German forces were already stretched thin, and supply lines were overextended. The onset of the brutal Russian winter, combined with the persistent Soviet resistance, further hampered German operations. The Germans had not adequately prepared for the extreme cold, and their troops, many without proper winter clothing, suffered from frostbite and fatigue. On December 5, 1941, the Soviet Red Army, under the command of General Zhukov, launched a massive counteroffensive. The Soviets took advantage of German vulnerabilities, especially the stretched-out lines and weak flanks. Using a combination of well-prepared defenses, winterized equipment, and surprise attacks, the Soviets encircled and pushed back the German forces. By mid-December, the German advance had been halted, and the Soviets had regained substantial ground. The failure to capture Moscow was a significant blow to Hitler's plans, and the defeat shattered the myth of Nazi invincibility. It marked the first major defeat for the German military in the war, signaling the start of a protracted and ultimately losing struggle on the Eastern Front. The Battle of Moscow not only saved the Soviet capital, but also gave a much-needed morale boost to the Soviet people and military. It set the stage for Soviet offensives that would eventually push German forces out of the Soviet Union, culminating in the capture of Berlin in 1945. The battle underscored the importance of logistics, preparedness for weather conditions, and the determination of the Soviet resistance, shifting the momentum in favor of the Allies on the Eastern Front.